All right. Tower of Fantasy 2023 tier list anniversary edition. Okay. So yeah, it's been a year. Although I still don't agree about with tier lists, we're still gonna make one to guide all the clueless people so they don't fuck up. All right. Hi YouTube. We're just gonna talk about all of them and rank them. All right. Basically, like this is a tier list on who you should invest in, who to pull for the anniversary rerun and stuff. Let's just go in order at this point. Frigg, a very old character, now already in standard. Has decent buffing capabilities for what she is. How old she is. Okay, I'll turn it off. I'll turn it off then. Where do we put Frigg? Has decent buffs. Very old character, practically useless. C tier. Frigg probably C tier. We'll see how all the other characters go. Right, still pretty relevant with her zone. Right, definitely not D tier material. Nemesis, support character, healer, still has a use in the support meta. B tier at least. Right, Echo SR character, we don't care about her. Next, we got Alice. Alice is a Frost off-field support character. Support DPS character, which is has some buffs, no longer really in the meta, and like highly not recommended. She's next on the line to get benched, or already benched, like for meta purposes. She goes here along with Frigg. Annabella, same story. She is a DPS character, does not really have that much buffs. Does she even have buffs? She's new player friendly, like but like you don't want to go for her, right? She got a good buff in 3.1, but like it's still not recommended. Like her buff is good. Her damage got buffed, but like there's new characters, right? There's Liu Hua, there's Lan, soon up and coming in 3.2.5 Faisa. She's old and just she goes here, right? We might want to just remove the SR characters because they're not relevant. We put the SR characters down here. Bailing, decent for Grievous application if you have nothing to use, all right? But like you don't go for her. They're SR characters. Bai doesn't exist for global, right? We don't talk about her. Shaki, Fortitude Resonance, has a very good use for tanking, right? Meta-wise, if you're a Fortitude tank. If we think about all the raids, she is actually like, we put her in A. She has a reset for Shiro to shatter, very relevant for Fortitude still. Has forced Fantasia, and now that she's going into standard at anniversary, she's a very good investment, especially when she's in standard now, right? You can't go wrong with Shaki at this point because you can't pull for her anymore. She's in standard. But obviously, don't spend your gold nucleus to get her. Don't spend DC and try to fish her out of standard, but like she's good A tier. Fiona, it's like no brainer. Best support in the game, still in the fucking meta for all teams. Absolutely broken. Benediction character. Even when she goes out of the DPS meta, she's still relevant for buffing, chaining, and everything. Like if there's an SS tier, she would go up there. Fiona can also clear Graying Bite, which is one of the only mechanics that she can clear, not nobody else. So like she's kind of forced, you have to get her. Next, Fenrir. Fenrir was the introduction to power creep for global. But at this point in time, you should not go for her anymore. You should not go for her anymore at anniversary time. Like she's still good. She's very good. Don't get me wrong. She goes in B. Not recommended anymore. Too late. Ganono. Let's see. Where do we put Ganono? Ganono is decent still at A tier. She's relatively still new. Will still be in the meta with Ganono Zeke. Fiona. She goes in A tier, and the CM side has found out that she has very good shatter capabilities in a Fortitude comp. So like even when she does get benched, she has a decent shatter capability to be relevant in the meta for longer than typical characters. Let's see. We have Cobalt. Yikes. All right. Don't need to talk about her. She's actually not bad, just like Annabella, if you do have her for free-to-play purposes. Like, if you get her off of standard, she's a very good weapon. But, like, don't invest into her. Hilda, SR, we don't talk about her. Coco, A tier. Actually broken support from standard. The 3-star Coco adding shatter buff, damage buff to the whole team. She's, like, very meta for supporting. Very, very meta for supporting, like, high-end, difficult content. Supporting. Very good character, and you can't go wrong. Like I put her in A because she's useful in the meta still, and you can't go wrong because you can't waste your red pulls. Coco's good. Coco's great. Claudia, shit. Where do we put Claudia? I think Claudia still goes in B. Like, we're not talking about exploration, right? If you have a macro, she's like disgusting for open world exploration. We're talking about like actual endgame meta content stuff, right? She's either B or C. It's like very low B. I would put her like at the end of B tier. She's either low B or high C. What else? King, right? King is just good for early game shatter. Terrible at this point in the meta. It is what it is. Still has a use in flame sequential if you have nothing else to use for shatter. Like if you run a double altered comp, King is a great third option for shatter and flame sequential. But yeah, D tier. Lan is at this point in time low A or high B. I'll put her in here first. She is a fortitude character, so she will have more use in the meta. Has great damage reduction for the team, right? But soon to be benched in the flame. Not benched, you can run triple flame, but like high DPS meta soon to be benched. But she's still good, right? Ruby is, oh god, where do I put Ruby? Ruby is very awkward. High D tier. She still has buffs. If you don't have any other flame weapon to buff your team, Ruby can still work with some investment. After she goes into standard, right? You can maybe get her to 6 from like your black gold. She might be okay, but yeah, D tier for sure. Rubelia. Where do we put Rubelia? She's like the same class as like Claudia in terms of exploration, right? Exploration tier list, she would be S tier. But otherwise, she does not... I mean, her discharge has damage buffs. She is primarily damage, needs Fenrir to work. I would put her like on C tier, honestly, at this point. Her discharge has damage buffs. It could be a vault support, but I would put her at C at this point. Like, especially global version of her. All right, Zero. Zero, I would put high B. Just another support character. A good support character for like iframe. I mean, not iframe, but invulnerability applications. Very good support character in standard. And then matrices. His matrices are also very good. But this is a weapon tier list. I'd say this is fair. Zero is more for survivability purposes. Coco is more for amplifying your team's damage, along with Fiona. It depends, right? As a support, you want to choose the weapons based off of the situation. I think Coco and Fiona see more use in general. I mean, Zero has the AFK capabilities too, but this is for meta. It depends on content, right? If you think about the new mechanics raid that we're getting, Zero does nothing. You're not trying to survive. You're trying to break shield. It depends on the content. This is a general recommendation tier list, right? Lynn just got buffed. Don't know how good she is after the buff, but she is only an off-field DPS with some support capabilities. I put her at C. She is still very useful for altered sequential, right? Because there's only 2 altered weapons. She's definitely here. Still has a use for Fiona, Lynn plus third weapon comps for sequential, for coping. Definitely not meta relevant anymore. Liu Hua. I mean, she's part of the flame meta right now, so she's up here as of like 1 year. The current flame DPS meta, main DPS character. She has to go here. Mark don't exist. Meryl. Ooh. The trait is good for fishing. Otherwise, she goes here. Kind of meta irrelevant at this point. She has damage buff, but for herself when the shield is up, right? She's not relevant anymore. Zeke up here. Above Liu Hua. New character, always broken. Especially when he has double resonance. I would say like maybe Zeke even goes here. Like, is arguable Fiona or Zeke higher on the tier list. But yeah, Zeke, especially for global with flame and physical resonance, he works as 2 weapons at the same time. Also has an execute. Also can be main DPS for physical. There's that. Rubelia's current vault, and why is she at C? Because Rubelia requires Fenrir to work. And Fenrir is an old weapon. This is just not, it's like Volt is in a bad state right now. Basically when Mimi drops, Mimi will be high up here in S tier, and Mimi will work with anything. You like at this point, next character is Volt after anniversary. A month later, Volt will be on top of the meta with the new character. You should just wait. Like, this is why Rubelia is down here. I do not recommend you going for Rubelia. That's why she's at C, even though she's in the meta right now. Samir, oh god, where do we put Samir? Samir is pretty much not meta relevant anymore. Good for new players. I put Samir here. Her trait is still decent if you have no other trait. Old standard DPS weapons without buffs, pretty much irrelevant. Meta for puzzles, sure. Tsubasa can buff. Decent buffing weapon on par with Claudia. Very hard to use because her skill cooldown is not her skill cooldown, but her buff cooldown is kind of short. kind of annoying to use. Very low C tier at this point. Pepper, SR character, we don't talk about her. Tion, where do we put Tion? Tion is actually still a decent buff for Vault. Probably better than Rubelia in terms of buffing, but like, he goes here. Like when Mimi drops, Mimi, Tion would work. Tion goes here, I'd say. Like C tier is all the still kind of relevant buff weapons, basically. There's that. Umi. Umi is basically still on the C tier, just like everybody else at this point. Umi is a decent buffing weapon for physical. Probably does more buffs than probably goes here. Umi's still decent. And then main DPS wise, she also can work if you want to make her work. I'd say Umi is on C, right? Fair enough. Crow. Crow has a guaranteed crit thing that will kind of work when Mimi comes out. Crow is a very good vault support. It's just his cooldowns are very awkward at 45 seconds. Crow is also on C tier. I'd say around Tion, Rubelia, somewhere like here. Ine is SR. We don't talk about her. Shiro. Shiro is in A tier. Shiro, I would say, would go like right about here. Shiro, after what we saw on CN with all the fucking raids requiring shield break, ridiculous amounts of shield break, Shiro is A tier now. On CN, you use Shiro, Saki, Ine to trigger Saki reset, double Shiro skill, another dice into another Shiro, all at the same time. You hologram, so you put 6 Shiro fields to shatter a boss, and your whole team has like 6 tanks. Obviously, we don't have dice on global, but like her shield break capabilities is still there. You really just use her for shield break with hologram. Nobody breaks better than Shiro. But like, she's a standard weapon character, standard character, right? It is what it is. She's very useful in the meta all of a sudden on CN. Lyra, I think Lyra is high B tier, above Nemesis. Provides shielding for your team in Void Abyss, hyper body stuff, heals. Very good character still. Do not use her for DPS anymore. Not worth it. Very good support. She would go low A or high B. I'll put her high B. Her trait is great too. Support character, basically. Yeah, this is good. Basically, like, this is a tier list on who you should invest in, who to pull for the anniversary rerun and stuff. I'd say this is fair. This is not, it doesn't fucking matter Lyra above Coco. Coco, Shiro, these are standard characters. They're not comparable. These are good because they're free. That's why they're higher. Like, the amount of usefulness they provide, and because they're completely free as of right now, makes them higher. It's a general tier list. Lyra is on standard soon. Not yet. If I rate Lyra too high, people are gonna fucking rerun banner, pull for Lyra and stuff and get debated. All right, fair enough. Huma is just, I don't see, she is not, like, just like where Meryl is. She is not useful anymore. Hasn't been useful ever, honestly. She goes there. All right, Icarus is actually useful for all the raids. I would put Icarus low A. This, like, and this is only for like for benediction people, low A. I would put her, he's in the Frost meta, but still an old character at this point. The benediction initial 7% or 8% chunk on the raid bosses is very relevant, right? Every team needs a benediction Icarus. It's like low A tier. Overall use, not good compared to Lyra. That's true though. Drop Icarus down here maybe? How's that? He's good. I think this is better. All right. And then Yulan is just Frost meta. There we go. S tier. The current newest Frost character from 3.0 goes about here. And then that's the tier list, right? Do we even need to talk about Yulan? 2 forms, DPS. Just beware that Yulan gets benched eventually, very fast. She has no, she's like Alice, right? She's the same deal as Alice. She will get benched after 2 more Frost characters. Guaranteed. She will drop down fast. Both her forms are DPS, basically. She has no, basically, I mean, her support form also does DPS, right? So Yulan and Liuhu, both of these, right? Liuhu, Yulan, both of these characters will drop down fast off the tier list. Zeke will, however, not drop down that fast because he has buffing and damage amplification and the execute gimmick. Yeah, Fiona and Zeke definitely safer long-term. Yulan and Liuhu will have less shelf life in the meta. Fair enough tier list. Let's see. Do we talk about Mimi? Like the 2 new CN characters that we get in 3.2, right? I don't know how they're gonna do Mimi yet, because Mimi, like, if Zeke is flame physical, then Mimi could be Frost Vault, but like, we don't know yet. We're just gonna use, who looks like Mimi here? We're gonna use Bai. This'll be Mimi. All right, this is Mimi. Mimi goes here. Mimi would go here because Mimi is Fortitude. Will stay more relevant in the meta because she's Fortitude. And she does ridiculous damage. Very easy to play. Definitely will have more life expectancy on the meta compared to Yulan and Liu Hua. Right, she's the Fortitude main DPS basically. So Mimi goes up here, and then after Mimi we have Fei Se. We'll use Pepper because she's blonde. Fei Se goes about, oof, she goes here because she would be part of the meta, and then by the time she drops, Liu Hua still stays here because she is a off-field DPS. Just like how Alice, she's basically Alice for Flame. She will be meta relevant, obviously, but like she's gonna drop down fast too. I think this is it. But yeah, this is basically how the tier list will look like. I think this is fair. General investment tier list for current and the future up to 3.2. So basically how the meta shook up after a year of this game is basically, as you can tell, all the old DPS characters are kind of bad now, especially the ones in standard. And then the old tanks, although you could still use them. There's always better options, right? And then C tier people are just the characters that still have buffs, but not like meta relevant anymore. Like you can use anybody in C tier to still play your relevant elemental comp decently well, right? If you have them. But obviously don't spend resources going for them anymore. Maybe get one copy of Lin for sequential stuff just to activate the resonance. That's about it. And then B tier wise, like the only reason why Lin is down here is because she's limited. She's not in standard, right? Claudia's in standard. That's why she's higher. B tier wise, these are all the characters that are like basically still useful to some extent right now, and all the support stuff. Shaki is in A. The only reason she's here because she just got added to standard as of right now, or as of anniversary, and she's your go-to priority from standard if you do get Shaki. I explained everything else. That's the tier list, guys. Anna should be in C as well. You've been able to do decent with her in triple flame in terms of bygone. I know everybody can do decent with her. She's still good. It's just at this point in time for the anniversary, she's on the rerun banner and no one should go for her anymore. There's better options. So like this whole tier list, the purpose of this is to basically guide new players and returning players when they see the rerun banner and basically like who they should pull for, right? We get rid of this. These two basically just tells them what to expect in the meta, but like these are the people you should pull for. Or you should prioritize. And if like rerun banner, prioritize Fiona. You pull for Zeke. And then for standard, you prioritize Shaki. Stuff like that, right? So anybody in C and D tier is highly not recommended anymore. So basically how this game works, right? You select an element to play and you run only characters from that element, maybe plus an altered character like Fiona or Lin. Obviously, Fiona is better, right? So you run Fiona, 2 physical characters, Fiona, 2 Frost. So Fiona, Zeke, Gnono, that's a team. Fiona, Yulan, Icarus, that's a team. Fiona, Liu Hua, Lan, that's a team. And then Vault would be Fiona, Fenrir, Rubelia. That would be a team. You basically just use the newest character of your element plus an altered character to build your team for DPS. And then for global as well, since Zeke is flame physical resonance, Fiona, Zeke, Liu Hua could work. All kinds of random stuff can work with Zeke because he's like a generic buffer just like Fiona at this point, right? But he excels more in physical and flame comps. Fiona, however, on the other hand, works on every comp. Okay, guys, clueless YouTube viewer here. I will pull Fiona, Zeke, Yulan in the same team and do good, okay? I mean, apparently this does the most damage according to the Japanese parser. So this is not wrong. This actually works. I mean, right? This is a good tier list. All right, we're good.